So good morning again, everyone, and thank you very much for joining us today. The International Energy Agency is very pleased to welcome you to this new webinar in the IEA Africa University series. My name is Zaka Adam, and I work as a statistics manager within the IEA Energy Data Center. And I'm very happy to be here today for this practical session following last week's introduction to the work that the IEA has been doing on the creation of a solid biofuels model. I hope that all of you received the material that we sent by email and that you have been able to get familiar with the model and work a bit with the exercise. So without any further ado, I will pass over to Maria and Thierry to do the practical session. Maria, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you very much, everyone, for that. I'm gonna share. So today we're gonna have a very practical session in which the idea is, first of all, we will have an introduction of the exercise, just a little refresh, a little reframe of what we did and proposed as an exercise for the last week. Then we are open to get any feedback, any kind of doubt you have doing the exercise, and also if you had any kind of comment or additional question that you got when you review through the material. And just finally the conclusion. So I will just go to share the exercise we propose. Yes. So the first part, we did it like during the session. I'm open to hear if anyone has a doubt about the practical session we had. Otherwise, I will proceed to the part that we didn't do during the session. So don't hesitate to use the question and answer box if you have any question or further doubt about what we did last week. In the last part of the exercise, we also add this question, and it's how the variables are affecting the final results and how we expect to have a higher or smaller total consumption. So the answer to this, I will share better my whole screen to stop doing this. The answer to this you can get it if you analyze the exercise when you open here the default parameter. As you may see, no, sorry, this is not what I meant. So the answer to see how the parameters are affecting or not the different scenarios we got. You can see it if you play like with the model. So what I propose to you is that you can analyze when we play here with the model. Okay, so here. If you notice any particular result, you may see that pretty much all of these variables have a positive relationship with the biofuels consumption. This means that as it increase, also increase the specific consumption. So this is basically the answer. Except for the GDP, that this is the only one that has a negative relation. Then this is just part of the exercise we did in the last class, the last session, sorry. And now for the part that we propose to do like a like an additional one. I'm gonna do it now with you. So here, when you go to the model fit, you will have all the data from the different countries. So what we propose is that you select just your country. For instance, in this case, I'm gonna select, let's say, Congo Democratic Republic. And then the idea is to fill all the data that's missing from the 2016 to 2019. So what you could do here is you either can keep the same value if you wanna, or you can make an increase if you want. In this case, I'm gonna just keep it like this. Then also here in the renewable, I'm gonna just make bigger than 1%. I'm gonna keep the same energy intensity. And that's it. And now we're gonna have the whole set of data from 2016 to 2019 complete. And this is gonna obviously affect the different results we're gonna have in the progression. So when we get started and we select, in this case, now the data that we introduce from those years is gonna be also part of the projection. So when you do here, projection analysis, you will see that the years has been already included, and then at the end we're going to have a different result for the projections because we already include some different data. Otherwise, what the model does is he takes 2015 as a basis and then applies the projection to the future years. Okay, that's only just to know that if you're gonna have new data, you can just add it over here. And then we have this part that is very interesting, that is about the humidity and the agricultural waste. So this, as you may remember, we do it here in the default parameters. So I encourage you to get this Excel file. I'm gonna open it. I have it here. So this is a resource that has been developed by the Rainforest Alliance, and is very practical if you want to get the calorific value. In this case, we propose to get a 25%. And you have here, you have either here in gigajoules, or you can have it also in megawatt hour if you want, depending on the application. Here, you might notice that we have everything in gigajoule, so we're gonna use that one. So here we have this one. And as you may have here, and instead of the value we got initially, that is this 15, we're gonna have 13. This is a result of, as we have more moisture in our wood, this is gonna have a lower calorific value. So here we're gonna introduce the new value that, as we said, is 13. Okay. And then the other part is if we have a new survey and in which we see that we have more agricultural waste in our solid biofuel basis. So in this case, we're gonna 25. And then the idea is to see how this gonna change. But we can have a good hypothesis here, that is, we're gonna have a smaller amount of energy coming from the wood fuel, as we have a smaller calorific value. And then, because the calorific value in this case from the agricultural residue is 16, that is bigger than this one. And now we are assuming we have a bigger proportion here. Then in this case, we're gonna have also a bigger amount of energy. And then if you start all over again, you might see that the unit change. This is only just to see, like, in the as more information you have, as more accurate information you have, you can also have a more accurate result. And then if you are able to collect later on what is the calorific value of the wood fuel used in your country, you can get a more accurate value of this final energy use in the residential sector. Finally, also, we propose here that in the default parameter, you modify these values. This value has been found during a survey from the AFREC, but you can get a different estimation depending on the years. So in this case, we propose to have a 50, 10, and 40 in lighting. So in this case, we're gonna say 50, 40, and 10. Okay. This will affect, I will show you, in this estimation we made here. As you may see, it is a proportion of the whole energy usage at home. So you can see if you increase or decrease how the energy is distributed. So you might see now heating is very small, as we said, it's just 10%. Cooking is the half, as we said, is 50, and then we have the remaining 40% we assume to be lighting. Okay, this is that part. And then finally, what we could do also is, if we have in this demography source, if we have, for instance, that the World Bank release a new prospect for your country, for instance, it made a new projection, and now for 2050 you're gonna have a different population. You can also modify it here. So in this case, what we're gonna see is, like, for the upcoming years, if you, for instance, instead of having 92, you're gonna have 102. And then let's say here, we're gonna have roughly this plus 2%. This is gonna affect in the projection, because as you may remember, the whole projection is based on the population. So when you are here in the part of the projection here, what it does is it compiles all the information with the population projection we had. So this means we're gonna find the specific consumption per household, and it's gonna be adjusted to a national level using the prospection. So here you might see that this projection is going to be bigger than the previous one, as we have a higher population. This, you can do it as you get new data, new prospections. The World Bank releases every 5 years a new prospection. You can upload it if you want to, like, have a more detailed, or for instance, if you have a census program in your country and you already did a new projection, you can also modify it here so you get a more accurate value. And this is what I said. As you may know, if we increase the population, in this case, we're going to increase directly proportionally the biofuel consumption. So this is the exercise proposed. I don't know if you have any questions about how to understand the results, or you had any struggle when you were doing the exercise. Any additional that we are open to answer to you. I'm gonna just check the questions. Okay, so this one is the version in English, and we had add let's say like a understanding of the projection in this version that I have here. I will add it in a couple of seconds to the drive, and yeah, then you will have like two versions. I don't know if that answers your questions.
I think on the Google Drive, there's both an English and a French version for all the material, and so maybe the participant opened the French one, but there's also for every file there's both language, English and French.
Yes, indeed. Well, I don't know if you have. I'm gonna stop sharing my screen, but please feel free to ask a comment or yeah, give any comment or opinion or a question like about the material in general or the exercise. We are more than open to answer this to you.
I would be interested in knowing how many of you tested the model. So please let us know. Put a raise hand, those who tested, so that we can see who took a look at the files and tested it. So we have one person, at least, let's say, who tested. Don't be shy. Let us know. I mean, we are very interested in knowing, and it's very important for us to get feedback as well, to see how we can improve the model. So if you want to take the floor as well to give us your impressions, let me know and we can give you the floor. Did you find the exercise difficult or too easy? I don't know, Maria, if in the meantime you or Thierry would like to present again, maybe quickly, some of the features of the model. Maybe some of the participants were not here last week.
Yes, of course. I can share again my screen.
I think Thierry raised his. Thierry wanted to say
go ahead,
something.
Thierry.
Okay, thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Clearly.
Okay, so just I wanted to add some few aspects on how the user may also go into the model, try to change stuff in deep as well. And I think Sumaya already presented some of the basic modification that they can do with the model, but there are also some advanced changes that the user can perform so that he may get something maybe closer to the reality or in-depth modeling. So can I share or you share? Just to show just a one sheet.
Of course.
Yeah. Okay, great. Okay. So I just wanted to draw our attention on just on the future data sheet. I know Maria just roughly talk about it and show that in different parameters how you can change the residual share about the residual share into the whole consumption and how to work with the net calorific value and as well as how to play with the end users percentage share. And of course, when you do all these modifications, is inform the sheet of the development that you have here. And then as soon as you change a country or you choose a particular country, it is perform the calculation behind and help you to get the result and so on. And you take all these modifications to account into the projection analysis and so on. But we also think that it's also good for the users to know how this from 2015 to 2050, from 2015 to 2050 to know how these different variables are evolving over the years. And if, for instance, you get a better estimate or projection of all these um, variable over the year, you can change it. And in order to reflect what you are implementing in your country, and in particular, as I know, we have different master plan, and then from the master plan, we have some scenarios, low, medium, or high scenarios, and then we have a kind of pathways the country want to follow. So the future worksheet give you a kind of look onto that. So we make it open for now so that the user may have a look and try to update. And then as we can see, the different variables that really drive most of the consumption and that drive the model are here. And then how these different variables over the years are presented here. So for instance, if you have recent data or a particular information about the years to the scope of this model that is ending 2050, you can directly modify it here. Of course, this sheet is communicating directly with the model fit that Mara just presented. So as soon as you are doing some modification here and update this information, automatically this sheet will update himself dynamically so that it's because the future projection take from this sheet. And of course, when you modify the database, the demography and so on, it will inform this future sheet date, and then you realize that we make it in such a way that the user can get back to the formulas and how to link the other sheet to modify. So as soon as you are modifying some database and so on, it reflects in this sheet. And then you can also update the different years and so on. So that when, as soon as you are modifying this, and when you come into the development aspect, you realize automatically you get that the projection that you will be getting here will be different based on the different value you change over the year as well here. So this, just these few clarifications that I wanted to point out that could help the user as well to really have a more clear understanding about how this variable evolve over the year. So definitely all these variables are there, and then you can do some graph, show some do some plotting and see whether this trend is okay for you and so on, and then you can change it, and then you come back onto the projection analysis, and then you can see how it is affecting the trend. The whole idea here for us is to provide a tool that will help you bridge a gap about data collection to the continent, but as well is to also to compare with your own database and see how well our model is performing, and then how we can address some of these gaps and so on. So we really want to have your feedback in order to really improve this model and make it a tool for decision making for our partners and so on. Yeah.
Thanks a lot, Thierry, for providing all these clarifications, which I think are extremely important for users to better understand how the model performs. So please don't be shy if you have any question, or you want us maybe again to give more information, more explanation on the model, on some of the features. If you have ideas on how this can be useful for your country, and yeah, please raise your hand, take the floor if you want, and let us know. For the person who had said, who had raised his hand and said that he tested the model, how did you find it? Do you have any suggestion on what we can improve? Anyway, you can also continue writing to us after the session, if you want to discuss more personally with us on it. Do not hesitate. And also, I mean, the material on the Google Drive will stay there for some time. So if you didn't have time in the past week to look at it, please do it whenever possible on your side, and send us your feedback by email. That would be much appreciated. Otherwise, if there's no comments, I think we are done for today. Thierry, is it a new hand raised on your side?
Yeah, just to
Okay.
maybe try to it takes some of the time and then things. And we want also to emphasize that we, for the model, we base on different sources. So we gather data from the World Bank, from the WHO, from University of Radboud, and so on. And definitely we believe that also we are aware that some of these data may not reflect completely what's going on in your country. And this is the interest with the model, by allowing you to modify, to integrate update information that was more specific to your country. So as you can see, when you go to the let's say source, can you see my slide?
We see the model only now,
model.
the Excel model.
So when you come into references, you will also have a look, you see the different variables that you have taken into account, and then where you can get it from. And then for the WHO, this link is there. So we provide this so that the user can go back again to cross-check, and also to participate to data quality checking, because of course we know that there is a great effort from the international organization to gather reliable information for our countries and so on. But through this checking, we also can provide comment on that this specific year or this particular variable maybe is not in line with what we got from our country, and to allow to have a proper estimate about every statistic produced for each country, and definitely on which we base on for the policy making and so on. So yeah, you have the different link to have access to the different variables, and then yeah, so you can go back and check it. You have the whole database that we have used for different countries in Africa. So you can have a look, see if the data is correct as well, and then provide comment and so on. So we are there to receive comments, to improve, and also getting the model better so that it will be useful for the community as well. So yes, you have the...
In the chat box, Thierry, there are two questions. There are a few questions coming. So is it possible for Thierry to repeat his presentation for today? This is from Michael. Do you mean the presentation that he made last week of the model? Because all the presentation has been recorded. It's on YouTube. So if that's what you meant, or maybe Thierry can very quickly make a quick presentation of the model like he made last week. Can you just confirm this is what you were looking for? There's a second question from, I think it's the person who had tested the model. The model that are presented by Maria show only household energy consumption. Why don't you take industrial consumption as a reference for the model that you present? And Maria already started replying. The idea is to quantify the residential one, as this one is less reported, and thus we have higher uncertainty on this data. A further version could also include this. The current model is just an initial departure. So I think here, when the objective of this model was to focus on residential sector, because as Maria said, this is the sector where we had less information and where we wanted to start working on, and so that was why we focus on the residential sector. So Michael was referring to today's presentation. Yes, again, the presentation has been recorded. We will put it on YouTube, and you can watch last week's one and this week's one together to get a full to get a better comprehension. There's in the Q&A box another question from Mr. Yider Sal from Ethiopia. What are the indicator parameters in the solid biofuels consumption? This is first question. How do you guess the uncertainties while you're collecting biofuels data for modeling? So Thierry or Maria, would you like to take this one?
So what are the indicator parameters, KPI, in the solid biofuel consumption? There is two ways by which we can respond to this answer. The first approach is, of course, one of the drivers of solid biofuel consumption. There are many. So we have the demography, we have the social, we have the economic variable, and so on, and also environmental aspect as well play a key role into driving solid biofuel consumption at the bottom level. However, concerning our model, if the question is about the different indicator we consider for this model, so we take to account all those different dimensions: socioeconomics, environmental, technical, and so on, efficiency of equipment, and so on into account. And then we try to filter and see what are those variables that really drives the consumption at the household level, either in urban or rural areas. So we did a kind of filter analysis, feature selections, and then using some advanced algorithm in order to filter the variable that are more relevant. And as you can see, if I come into references, you see we have more than 120 variables, more than 120 variables. So you realize that this very huge amount of variable, and then how do you know whether this variable is really important for your model or really explain consumption at the bottom level? So this requires to do some kind of like correlation analysis, remove redundancy, and also importance checking. So we did all this analysis. At the end of the day, we find that these parameters in particular really have a significant impact on how households consume the different fuel type. So access to clean fuel, life expectancy, population growth, GDP, and of course, household size in urban, rural, and at the national level, renewable energy penetrations, energy intensity are more or less some of these variables that really drive consumption at the bottom level. And one thing that we want also to emphasize, of course, these variables are the one to choose at the end of the day, but there are also other variables that are highly correlated to those ones that are left out in order to keep all those variables that really improve the model or bring significant information into it. So yeah, so that's how I can respond to the question. So the first aspect is that there are different aspects that really drive solid biofuel consumption at the bottom level. So this includes the economical, the environmental, the social aspect. And then in the concept note, you may have a look into, we have detailed that. And also on the second side, when it comes to the model, we take all these variables into account, and at the end of the day, we filter them and then to select some few ones that really can inform our model and then help into the estimations. So I don't know if Maya has or Zakia could add something about it. Thank you.
No, I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Please, if you have more questions.
Don't hesitate.
there were a question, he has a second question about how do you guess the uncertainties while you are collecting biofuel data for modeling? Okay, not easy to answer, but of course, the whole idea when we are modeling and as I was saying, modeling is a is a mathematical representation of reality. So we are trying to get closer to the reality by using mathematics, equations, and so on. And then one of the way is to compare, for instance, in our case, the specific consumption that you have at the household level with standard, with what we used to have for other countries in the region, and a country that displayed a particular economic, socio-economic trend, like a particular country that you want to model. So when you have all this in mind, you already have some, let's say, kind of boundary that you tell you that, okay, the specific consumption more or less vary between this and that. So if I get a kind of specific question that goes beyond that value, it tells me already that something is going wrong. And of course, when we are conducting survey for for energy, the energy modeling, we need also to make sure that while we are asking questions to the people to really pay attention and really explain the question to them so that they don't provide the wrong answer that could also affect as well the aggregation at the end of the day. So there are different level of data quality checking. So you look at the different average standards in the region or to a particular country that display the same features of your control modeling. And then you base on that to see whether it is acceptable or not, or you compare with other relevant literature or highly validated at the international level. So these are the two approaches that I think may go. And of course, experience in the domain also play, because as you are experienced in the domain, you know that this is okay, this is not, and then yeah, you have better understanding. I don't know if I was able to answer this question.
Thanks, Thierry. I think you answered now all questions that we received. So since there are no more questions, I think we can close for today. I just wanted to say that the next IEA Africa University will be next month on it will be on 13 and yeah, I think it's 13. Yes, on 13 of October, the next IEA Africa University will be on the upcoming Sahel report that the IEA has been preparing. The report will be launched by the end of this month. So you will have a fresh overview from the analysts that work on this Sahel report. So I would like to thank you very much for your participation last week and this week. We hope that this session on solid biofuels was useful to you, and I hope that this this model will be in some ways useful to your work, and now or in the future, at least you know that this model exists, and the IEA is going to develop it even further, and we remain at your disposal for any questions you may have on it. If you want to use it in your work, we can organize bilateral meetings also separately to discuss more about your own country's specificities and see how we can adapt the model for your own use. So there are many ways we can work together, and we really look forward to this collaboration with you. And yes, don't hesitate to contact us, and Thierry and I, we will be happy to help you in any way we can. So thank you very much, everyone. I wish you a very good day, and hope to meet you soon for the next IEA Africa University series. We have a question from, I saw someone raise his hand, but then drop it down, so I don't know. Mr. Yednekashu, do you have a question before we close the session? I don't know, Marina, maybe you can give him the floor to speak.
Yes, he's allowed to speak now.
Okay, so Mr. Yednekashu, we gave you the permission to speak. So if you have a question for us or if you want to say something live, it's possible. No? I think there must be either connection issues or it was a mistake, the hand raised. So that's it for me. I wish you all a good day and see you soon. Bye, everyone. And thanks to Maria and Thierry for the great work and for the presentations for the 2 days. Bye.
Bye, everyone.